So, I've been using the RTX 2060 since quite some time for all my video editing and casual gaming, and I decided to level up with the RTX 3060. Now, as difficult as it is to get your hands on one of these, the guys at Zotac have been kind enough to send me one, and even better, I got the white one, which goes perfectly well with my white setup. So there are two connectors that are required to power up the 3060, but I wouldn't require these because I already have that additional power supply from my supply unit. And there you go guys, that's the white 3060, and this would just go so well with my white computer setup. But this white, it does have a very stark plastic white feel to it, and it's not like a ceramic white or a metallic white finish, which would have been better. But the backplate is all metal and all white, and that's good because it is what is going to be visible when I mount this on the motherboard. And installing this is pretty simple because, the RTX 2060 and the 3060 have very similar sizes, so you just swap one for the other. And then if you've got the cables ready, you just plug it in and you're all set. Now, one of the things that Zotac talks about is freeze technology. So if you see, the computer is on, but the fans are not turning just yet. You know why? Because it's not hot enough. So Zotac calls this freeze, wherein the fans don't function if you're not in action. Like if you're not doing anything GPU intensive, the fans are gonna stay completely silent, and that reduces not only noise, but it also reduces the wear and tear of your graphic card. And it's particularly great for creators like me, because when I'm recording audio, having those fans as completely silent just helps into a more cleaner sound. Also, in this specific card from Zotac, there is no RGB lighting except for Zotac Gaming, which is in white. Now, as a creator, I use a lot of video editing on Premiere Pro, and the first thing I wanted to see is, does the RTX 3060 significantly improve my video render times over the RTX 2060? So I have a Core i7-10700K with 32 gigs of RAM, and here are my render times. And after I upgraded to 3060, the same videos with the same processor and RAM were rendered in nearly the same time it took with the original 2060 that I had. So the difference was pretty insignificant. But while editing, there are parts of videos that are not rendered and can slow down real-time editing. With the RTX 3060, I did find that to be better. And so real-time editing and real-time playback does become better with the RTX 3060, and even playing back 4K files. Just working with 4K video files is smoother. And now let's talk a little about gaming. I'm a very casual gamer, not a very intense one, and there are a couple of titles that I really enjoy playing. And starting with Control, which is one of the games that does support ray tracing. Now, ray tracing is something that, of course, the RTX 3060 card supports. And essentially, ray tracing has everything to do with light effects on your game. So the graphic card's job is to cast shadows, reflections, and trace any light in the game as if it would in the real world, and makes your gaming experience as realistic as possible. Now, of course, graphic card's job is also to render graphics in high quality. The gameplay should be smooth. It should output the right FPS for the screen that you're gaming on. Now, I have a 4K monitor here with 60 FPS, and I have to say 3060 is doing a pretty good job. And though I've not taken a screen grab of that, but take my word for it, all the settings are set to high. So yeah, of course, I do have a 10700 Core i7 processor, which is also doing a great job. But just look at the lighting effects in this game. It's amazing. Even while playing Call of Duty Cold War, which also supports ray tracing, it's simply fabulous. If you look at the floor, the texture detailing aside, just look at the lighting reflection and how it moves as you move around. It simply obeys all laws of physics. The softness or the hardness of the light varies with angle and distance, and this is what makes your gaming experience more realistic. It's almost as if nothing feels unnatural. All that's left actually is a VR headset, and you can almost feel like you're inside the game. So I'm really looking forward to those times. Anyway, one thing you have to know is that just because you have an RTX 3060 which supports ray tracing doesn't mean it's going to work in all games. The game has to support ray tracing. Now let me just take you through the settings, the graphic settings that I have set for Call of Duty, just to show how everything is set to high. And you can see that nothing is actually lower than the possible maximum setting. So I just pushed everything up all the way and to see how the 3060 performs, and I'm pretty happy with how 3060 has handled the game. And you can see all the ray tracing settings here, they're pushed all the way up to ultra. Now DLSS is something that doesn't matter in my case because I just have a 60 Hz monitor, but if I had 120 Hz or 240 Hz, that's where DLSS would have kicked in. And without being too technical, what DLSS does is that it uses AI to boost frame rates. So without really increasing the hardware complexity, just by using AI technology, you can increase the frame rates and have a natural gaming experience. And so for me as a creator, the Zotac 3060 really works out in a couple of ways. Number one, just easier, faster, real-time edit and smoother 4K playback is a big plus. The fact it's got freeze, which, just turns the fans off, easier for me to record more clean sound with my, microphone, really helps me too. And then, I know this one's not specific to graphic performance, but just that white color improves the overall aesthetics of my computer setup a lot more than it did with the RTX 2060, which was steelish gray in color. I think the RTX 3060 at its price point is a pretty good graphic card for regular video editing. It may not be perfect for, 3D graphic work, which is more graphic intensive in terms of computing, and probably a 3070 or a 3080 would be better suited for that kind of work. But for video editing in 4K, which is not too intensive, I think this card is a really good card and pretty good value for money. It's even from a gaming standpoint, if you want to do 4K gaming at lower FPS like 60, or 1080p gaming at higher FPS like 120 or 240, I think even for that, the 3060 with its ray tracing capabilities and DLSS technology is a pretty good value for money graphic card. Of course, the only heartache right now is to be able to find one, and even if you did, it's going to be more expensive than the actual price that Nvidia set out for the 3060. But looking at it from an absolute perspective or point of view, I think the card has intense value and a great performance to price ratio. All right, that's it on the 3060. I didn't want to make it too technical because, there are a lot of videos out there just talking about benchmarks and all the technical stuff on the 30 series cards from Nvidia. I just wanted to make it more about how it impacts my life, my workflow, and what I really thought about the 3060, especially this Zotac one, which is white in color, absolutely gorgeous. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Any questions? Feel free to drop them in the comment section below. And as always, if this video was helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit that bell notification icon. I'll see you guys in the next one.